boys, we won. It was a little bit of a tale of two halves here. I have slits on my face. This looks kind of crazy, but hey, boys, we got to win 3-1. And there are things to be happy about. There are some interesting things to mention too here with some of the ways some guys played and the way the game changed a little bit, but that's okay. Nothing is going to be perfect. We know this team is not perfect, and it's important to remember that. But to begin, the first half started basically the way I think it needs to always, with that intensity, that excitement, and that pressure, putting chances in, obviously finishing off goals incredibly well. Great balls from Lewandowski, linking up with Rafinha, and Lamine with an incredible Trivela pass again over to Dani Olmo, who now has 5 goals in the league, which is his highest number of goals in the league since like 2019 for Dynamo Zagreb. So incredible performance from them, and pretty solid job in the first half. The game changed going into the second. We held a little bit better for the first 10 minutes, and then the subs came on. And once you saw the subs, I think the differences in the way Espanyol were playing were more obvious in that they were pressing a little bit more, they were working together better, and I think Frankie and Fermin were less impressive, and that also exposed Pedri to lose the ball a little bit more, because that intensity from our press, from our midfield, just wasn't necessarily there as much as we need them to be. And that led to a lot of threatening chances for Espanyol. It was 1 goal. It could have been more. There were a few offsides goals, as always, but, that's something to keep in mind. They were just offside. Another day, that could be onside. So it's something to keep in mind and to recognize something that is happening a lot. Now, it's also offsides a lot, but when that press and that intensity isn't as good, these things occur more. But overall, that second half wasn't that bad, right? We conceded 1. It was kind of a normal match, conceding some chances, especially against rivals who are playing intense, who are fouling a lot. Like, that's how that game goes. I'm not upset about it. It's just something to keep in mind. Also, guys, I do want to mention that what's going on in Valencia right now in Spain, there's been a flood. The death toll is continuously rising, and so I'm going to link down below a place to donate. Donate if you can to the Spanish Red Cross. Again, the link will be down below. I'm going to donate myself, and so donate if you can. I know a lot of people can't, but I just wanted to mention it if it was possible and to help them out as much as I could. And just saying it to you guys is really all I can do besides donating myself, and so I figured I'd do it. But back to the ratings, I think that's where I'm going to be able to really mention what happened today for some of these guys. Starting with Iñaki Peña, I thought he was really good. He has a 7 on SofaScore. I'm going to give him an 8. I think he made those saves he needed to. He was decent on the ball. He came out of the box a couple times and it worked. It was also concerning one time where they almost chipped him, but I think he was pretty good today. Yeah, he made a bunch of saves. I think he was very solid. I think he deserves an 8, and he continues putting Tech on the bench reasonably. You know what I mean? I think this is not something that we would have expected from him considering how he did last season, but maybe it has something to do with Hansi's tactics. Clearly, they have talked more, and Iñaki Peña is coming out of the box a lot more this season than he was last year, because I vividly remember issues with him not coming out for chances, not to sweep keep in ways that we needed him to, leading to some goals. So good job from him today, and solid job from the back line overall. I think Hector Fort was really, really good going forward in that first half, and that's really good to see. I think that changed in the second half a little bit when they put the pressure on and Hector Fort was caught out of position a little bit because he was going forward. He defensively wasn't the best, but I don't think that's what we expect from him either. We expect him to be better going forward than Koundé is, and likely, because of that, worse going backward. But he offered a lot of options alongside Lamine, opened up some space for Lamine, and that created some space for Lamine to put in a pass to Dani Olmo to finish an incredible goal. That was really well done from Lamine and really well done from Dani, but Hector had a great game and helped him do that really well, put in a few really good crosses as well that very likely, very easily could have been assists as well. I think he deserves a 7.5 for that. Kubarsi, I think he was solid, put in like a couple really good sliding tackles, which we're seeing him get a lot better at. There were a few games ago where I said he is known for doing a little, he can make a pen happen by doing those slide tackles at the wrong times, but we saw against Madrid and today against Espanyol, putting in those tackles on counters in the perfect moment to win the ball back and not having it effectively be a pen. So it worked out today. I think he was solid. I don't think he was perfect. I think he gave the ball away a few too many times. I think when Frankie came on, I'm not sure if it's Kubarsi, but there was some miscommunication between them because Frankie was screaming at Kubarsi several times in possession. I'm not going to put that all on Kubarsi. I think there's something to talk about with Frankie that we need to get to. But overall, though, it was like there were flaws in his game and it needs to be recognized. I think a 7 is probably fair. Inigo Martinez, I'm going to give him an 8. I think there were a few times. There was one time where Kubarsi fell on a counter, but Inigo swept in at the perfect moment, and he did what he had to do. Great game. I really love Inigo Martinez. Video coming out on him in the main channel in the next couple of days. I'm going to upload more too. I apologize about that. Balde, I'm going to give him a 7.5. I think he was better today going forward. Looked pretty threatening on that inverting position that he likes to occupy and that he did pretty well in, and that led to a couple really good chances. Again, his crosses aren't necessarily coming off, and I want him to benefit and to change that, but I think he was good defensively. I think he was good going forward. SofaScore has him as the lowest rated guy on the pitch for Barcelona. I don't think that's the case. But Marc Casado, again, that pass in and of itself to Rafinha was delectable. He is so good at that. I continually sing his praises for his long ball ability, and he did it again. Frankie does a little bit of it. Casado's much better at it, in my opinion. It's wildly impressive for a guy of his age who was barely used last season. I saw the purist tweet today that he underestimated how much Casado could be used in the side, and I every day am so thankful that we had him come out, because without him, this season could have been much different. Was really solid defensively and winning that ball back, stopping counters, and we saw his effectiveness, how important he was, shown to us when he came out. For Frankie, the game changed a little bit. Pedri today, too, I think he was good. I don't think it was his greatest game. I think he was overshadowed a little bit by Casado. That doesn't mean he was bad. I think it was just a normal game for Pedri. I'm going to give him a 7.5 just because it wasn't spectacular. I'm going to give an 8 to Casado, too, as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. I don't really remember anything from Pedri significant. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. I miss a lot of stuff. Point it out if I'm wrong. I will accept that. But I think there were more important players today, or guys that stuck out to me at least a little bit more. And that brings us to the forwards, to Lamine, and Lamine was special today. Obviously, that Trivela pass was incredible. There were a lot of moments, too, where he could have gotten a goal, or in another game he would have. They weren't easy chances. I don't think he blew any chances away. I also think Dani Olmo could have picked him out a couple times on certain attacks and led to a better shot opportunity, but instead Dani Olmo chose to shoot, and on those specific chances it didn't come off. But obviously Dani Olmo came away with 2 goals, and so it's hard to question what he was doing. But I think it was a good performance from Lamine. I'm going to give him an 8. I think it could have been better. I think he was a little bit, not necessarily rushed, but things changed going to the second half where he wasn't able to play with as much confidence. I don't really think he played poorly in any way, though. Possessionally, he's still fantastic and really good at helping the team out of pressure in ways that I don't really think anybody on this team can do. But Dani Olmo is my man of the match. I'm going to give him an 8.5 just because I think there were some decisions he could have made better, but his finishing is wildly impressive. On his right foot, on his left foot, he can really get into fantastic positions. He can link up about as well as anyone else in this team with the rest of his teammates. He makes Lewandowski look so much better than Lewandowski should. So does Rafinha, but Dani Olmo was fantastic today. With those finishes alone, he deserves a 9 probably, honestly. And then Rafinha, I'm going to give him an 8 today. I think he quieted down a lot in the second half, and I think that's why Ansu Fati came on for him. It's interesting to me that he stopped kind of making those runs in behind as much. They become less threatening. Lewandowski linked up worse, all when Frankie came on. I don't know if that's all because Frankie came on, or maybe Espanyol stepped up their press, which is what I think happened. But when Frankie came on, Rafinha was less threatening. Lewandowski was worse at linking up with his teammates. Lamine Yamal was more covered because Hector Fort had to stay further back. So there are things that need to be called out. And again, I'm not blaming it all on Frankie, but Rafinha, I think, got worse. I'm going to give him a 7.5 just because I don't think he was great in the second half. Lewandowski, I'm only going to give him a 7 too. I don't think he was great either in the second half. I think he was good in the first half. I think he linked up really well, put some really good balls in with the right amount of pace in the right spot for Lamine to run into, for Rafinha to run into. But in the second half, he kind of lost that, and he struggled a little bit more, as the entire team did. Which brings us to Fermin and Frankie, who were subbed on in the 56th minute for Dani Olmo and Marc Casado. I think they were both fine. I think Fermin was probably better, but had trouble really affecting the game in the way Dani Olmo did earlier. He had a few chances on his right, and then shots at the top of the box, but it wasn't phenomenal. I think the keeper did have a good day, and on a different day, Lewandowski and Fermin probably walk out with goals, and that might change my ratings, but they weren't crazy. And so, yeah, I'm surprised Fermin had such little impact. I wouldn't have expected it as much from him. I'm going to give him a 6.5, and with Frankie, I'm going to give him a 5. I think he came out with a different intensity than the rest of the team had. I think he changed our ability to win the ball in transition. I think he was possessionally out of touch with the rest of his side because he was constantly yelling at Kubarsi, which, okay, maybe he thinks he should have the ball in a certain spot, but I think it's telling that he isn't linking up or he doesn't have that rhythm there. That doesn't mean he won't find it, and that doesn't mean I think we should sell him in the winter. I need to make that abundantly clear. I think we were talking a little bit about that on stream today. I think there are just things he needs to build up with this team possessionally, and especially out of possession defensively. Has to figure out how to work that way. And I think that's part of the reason Koundé came on for Hector Fort, because Frankie is used to playing with Jules Koundé at the right back spot next to him, and Hector Fort was moving up a lot further up the pitch than Koundé was. So I think that relationship is probably important to seeing them both succeed. Obviously, we saw Frankie de Jong be great in the Clásico or really change the game, and he had Koundé next to him. So it's something to look at. I think that partnership is important to seeing them maybe both do well, but especially Frankie, at least so far this season. Koundé, fine. I think he did well. He drew a couple fouls. Didn't really appear a ton because again, he came on in like the 80th minute, but looked solid today. Looked better than Frankie, I think. 7. Gavi, again, he came on with 5 minutes left to play. So did Ansu. I think Ansu looked good though. Gavi looked fine. 6.5. Again, not really a ton to go off of. Ansu Fati though, he made a really good run at the end of the game. He was offside, but he finished it well, which is what I want to say. I don't care if he's offside every time like Mbappe, but he finished that. It shattered, it broke the net a little bit, made it move. Maybe that'll click something in his mind that he can finish well again. But overall, don't go crazy with this game. Again, there are a lot of matches for the rest of the month that aren't huge, that you can see a lot of rotation. And I think there'll be plenty of time for Frankie to build up some momentum and some rhythm with these guys, for Firmino to get more minutes, for Pedri to get rested, for Balde to get more time, for Fort to get more minutes. And so let them play it out. I hope we see Tech as well in the goal for Iñaki Peña for a couple games, just to see how he does, see if he's got it. But I think Hansi Flick is also a little concerned about changing up this rhythm that they have going on. But overall, solid win. We got 3 points. That's all that matters. And yeah, we'll be live again on Big Up. Link in the description for the Champions League match on Wednesday. And remember, if you can afford to do so, donate to the Spanish Red Cross. The link will be in the description below. But thank you for watching, and I appreciate all you guys. Visca Barça, Visca Catalunya. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.